Hey guys, Camille here from Prep for Success talking about one variable algebra. Now, the goal of one variable algebra is ultimately to just isolate that one variable and solve for it, whether it's x, a, y, z, whatever the case may be. We always want to isolate that one variable and solve. Now, for example, with number 1, we have 2x plus 3 equals 11. So all we do is minus the 3 on both sides, get 2x equals 8, divide by 2, and we know that x equals 4. Now, before we say, oh, that's our final answer, because sometimes that could be the case if we're looking at a multiple choice question, they'll have A, B, C, D, E, and 4 will be one of the answer choices, even though that's not your final answer, because they're asking you for the value of 4x minus 5. So keep in mind to always answer what the question is asking. Now, let's go ahead and plug that into 4x minus 5. Which would just be 4 times 4 minus 5, which is simply 16 minus 5. So our final answer is now 11. But sometimes, instead of just isolating the variable and solving for it, another type of one variable algebra question that you may appear on either the SAT or ACT will be something like number 2, where here they're asking us if x plus 3 to the x equals 5, plus 3 to the 5, what is the value of x? Now let's take a step back. Instead of isolating and trying to solve for x in this case, think outside the box. What is x? Well, x plus 3 to the x has to be equal to 5 plus 3 to the 5. Well, look at that. X plus 3 to the x is 5 plus 3 to the 5. So in that case, we know that x is simply just 5, and we didn't have to do any math. It's just recognizing what the pattern was there. Now, let's take a look at numbers 3 and 4. Once again, our goal here is still to isolate the one variable and solve for it. Whether it's x or k, we want to isolate everything around it, simplify, combine like terms, and solve for x. So given that 3x plus 6 minus 5x plus 12 equals 2 times negative 4x minus 3. So let's start with the left side. We've got 3x and negative 5x, which we can combine to be negative 2x, and then plus 6 and plus 12, which can be combined into plus 18. Now for the right side, we just have to distribute to both sides, which is negative 8x minus 6. Now we just have to solve for the value of x. So I'm going to do plus 8x on both sides. And now that's going to lead us to 6x plus 18 equals negative 6. Subtract 18 on both sides, which leads us to 6x equals negative 24. Divided by 6, divided by 6. We know that x equals negative 4 is our final answer. Simple enough. Let's go ahead and tackle number 4. Here we have 7 plus k squared equals 16. Let's minus 7 on both sides. That leads us to k squared equals 9. Take the square root of 9. And then we know that k is simply 3. Now you may ask, can't the square root of 9 also just be negative 3? And it sure can be. So therefore, if we're looking at a fill in the blank like this, they'll normally specify on the SAT or the ACT, they'll say something like the answer has to be positive, a positive value of k, or a negative value of k. So if they say the answer has to be positive, then we know it would be k equals 3. If they say the answer has to be negative, then we know it would be negative 3. Also, if they had multiple choice options like A, B, C, D, then we can take a look at our multiple choice answers, and we should only see either 3 or negative 3, and then pick the one accordingly. Now, let's take a look at numbers 5 and 6. Once again here, for number 5, it's not about necessarily solving for t, but if we can step back and think outside the box, the question is asking us for 4t cubed. And we're giving t cubed equals 15. So instead of trying to solve for t and cube both sides, if t cubed is 15, then we know that 4t cubed would just be 15 times 4. So our answer here is simply 60. Now, as for number 6, we have 2k minus 2 times k minus 1, and we set that equal to 0. They want to know, what is the value of k? Well, we can split the equation into 2k minus 2 equals 0. And then to get the other solution, we get k minus 1 equals 0. Well, we're allowed to split it this way because if either of the two give us a 0, then 0 times anything is 0, which is why both would work. So let's simply solve for both sets. 2k equals 2 divided by 2. We have k, in this case, would be 1. Here we have just plus 1 plus 1. In this case, k would also be 1. So because k is 1 in both scenarios, what is the value of k? We know our answer's got to be C, 1. Let us now take a look at number 7 and number 8. So for 7, if x squared plus 6 equals 18, then what is x squared minus 6? So once again, most students here will want to solve for x first. But if we just solve for x squared instead, we get that x squared is 12. And then we know that the question is asking for x squared minus 6. We can go ahead and just substitute that right away. That's going to lead to 12 minus 6. So our answer would just simply be 6. Once again, you would still probably get the right answer even if you solve for x. It's just the more steps you do, the higher the chance of making a mistake. So the goal on both the SAT and the ACT is to make sure that you're doing the method or the process with the least amount of steps. Therefore, that saves you not only time, but also lowers your chance of getting a problem wrong and making an error. Now, let's take a look at number 8. If x plus 4 cubed equals 125, what is the value of x plus 2? Well, if we take the cube root on both sides, we'll be able to simplify the 125, and that should just give us x plus 4 equals 5, because the cube root of anything cubed cancels out, and the cube root of 125 is 5. Because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Now we just subtract 4 on both sides, and we get x equals 1. Now, be careful, don't select 1 as your answer. Make sure you solve exactly for what the question is asking. Because they want what is x plus 2, well, that would just be 1 plus 2. Therefore, our final answer is now 3. Last but not least, we have numbers 9 and 10. These are probably as hard as the one variable algebra questions can get on this exam. Let's take a look for number 9. If x plus 4 squared equals 169, so x plus 4 squared equals 169, which one of the following could be x minus 2? Now, if we take the square root of both sides, we get x plus 4 equals 13. We subtract 4 on both sides, and we get x equals 9. Now, if x is 9, which of the following could be x minus 2? It would simply just be 9 minus 2, which is 7. However, when we look at our answer choices, we don't have a 7. Therefore, let's take a look back. When we took the square root of 169, we said it was 13. But we know that a square root of a number could also be negative 13. So let's take it back to x plus 4 equals negative 13. Subtract 4 on both sides. X equals negative 17. And now that we have x equals negative 17, we're looking for x minus 2. Therefore, that would be negative 17 minus 2. So our final answer is negative 19. B. Now keep in mind, if you ever get to a point or a roadblock where you're stuck, check both your positive and your negative roots, and also make sure you're not putting your answer as just 9, because of course, look, letter A has that as a trap. We know that's wrong because we're not solving for x, we're solving for x minus 2. So make sure you don't put 9 or negative 17 as your answer. Make sure you finish out the negative 2. And make sure to also check for both the positive and negative square root of a number when you're tackling a problem like this. Now, let's take a look at number 10. If 3t plus 6 cubed equals negative 216, which of the following could be t plus 7? Now, we first want to take the cube of both sides. That's going to give us 3t plus 6 equals negative 6. And then we subtract 6 on both sides. That's going to give us 3t equals negative 12. Bring it over here. 3t equals negative 12. Divide by 3 on both sides. T equals negative 4. Now, don't pick negative 4 as your answer choice because they're asking for t plus 7. So negative 4 plus 7 simply gives us 3. So our answer here would be C.